Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. It is January the 3rd. We're in here to talk a few different Packers topics, to be honest. I think we got 3 on tap for you guys and gals this early afternoon. I know we got some NFL football going on a little bit later today. That's got some playoff implications as well. So I'm going to try to get you guys in and out of here so we can gear down and watch a little football today. But on tap, Quay Walker contract update. We've got a tweet that went out earlier today by a gentleman, and I reached out to him to see, hey, man, where did you hear this exactly? I think I found the source. I believe it was in an article from Pete Doherty, but we'll kind of talk about that, a contract update on Quay Walker, where it seems like, and no surprise really here, but it is somewhat breaking news, probably going to turn the page on the Quay Walker era in Green Bay. Obviously, former first-round pick linebacker out of Georgia. Although you never know, something may come together here in the offseason if he tests the market and it's not quite what they expected. Maybe he ends up back in Green Bay. We'll see. We'll talk about all of his numbers, where he ranks across the league, and his fair market value, calculated market value according to Spot Track. Also, Ed Policy put a letter out and kind of gave his take on the 2025, now going into 2026 season. I know there were some people that were expecting Matt LaFleur to be on the hot seat, Poly Market and some of the other, I think Kalshi as well. They had it at less than 2% chance that Matt LaFleur would be fired. I think the majority of us agree with that take, although there is a loud minority in the Packer fan base that wants him gone. We'll talk about what that may mean in terms of Ed Policy's comments on that. And also, we'll get into the Packers-Vikings final injury report, as both teams have multiple players that are going to be out, and we'll kind of dive into that game a little bit as well. Before we do, if you would, do that YouTube stuff for us. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your day. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you know every time we do go live. All right, let's waste no time and get into it. Here we go, a little Quay Walker talk. I put this little article together over on our Patreon group. Again, you can find this over at patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3 get you access to everything on the site. You can be a part of our community there. We've had people reach out multiple times. How can I support the show? How can I support the show? This is the best way to do that, okay? And again, you kind of get some of the information before we go live so you can read along with us and be a little bit more in the know on that type of stuff as well. So, Packers are unlikely to extend middle linebacker Quay Walker. Again, this came from a tweet over on X from Michael Rodney. I want to give a shout out to him. Everybody go give him a follow at Packers Notes, okay? And he tagged Pete Doherty. If he had just said this, I'd be like, okay, is there anything? The fact that he tagged Pete Doherty in this tells me that obviously Pete Doherty probably said this somewhere. Reports are Packers are unlikely to extend middle linebacker Quay Walker. And again, at Packers Notes, put this tweet out there. The story reiterates everything I've been saying for the past 6 months. While Quay Walker is a solid player, the Packers have bigger priorities, and Tyron Hopper is seen as a viable replacement. So again, we've had a conversation about this all year. It's kind of split. I feel like here on the show, and I don't want to put words into our other co-hosts' mouths. I feel like Emilio's kind of in the middle. I don't really know what Jacob's take is. Tim has been a pretty big, Quay Walker fan, although he has acknowledged when he's had shortcomings, but he also feels like, I feel like Tim has felt like when Quay does have a big game, everybody just kind of goes quiet and doesn't talk about it, when he plays solid. And I've been kind of on the side of, we're probably moving on from Quay. I would like to have Quay back at the right price, but what is that price, right? That's really what it comes down to. And, we had the fifth-year option talk as well, and the fact that they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. Usually you'd say, well, that tells you how they feel about him. But it was very unique for Quay because Quay being a linebacker, I don't understand why they still do this. It's wild. It's kind of like tied in years ago with Jimmy Graham and all that stuff in New Orleans. It's like when you're trying to calculate a market value or a fifth-year option or a franchise tag for a player, where Quay's a linebacker, there are outside linebackers in 34 defenses that get grouped in with the linebacker core as well. They're actually defensive ends is what they are. I don't know why they won't put them in that category. I mean, we know why the union doesn't want to do that because it does inflate the number in terms of the fifth-year option for stack backers. But in this case, that's why the Packers passed up on Quay Walker's fifth-year option. Now, they picked up Devontae Wyatt. You guys know I've been vocal there. I didn't feel like they should have done that. Would have liked to have Wyatt back at the right price. Felt like that was a little inflated for the fifth-year option. But nonetheless, you can see here that Michael Rodney over on X, he's saying, man, it looks like, they have bigger priorities and Tyron Hopper's seen as a viable replacement. I agree with that. The reality, in my opinion, Isaiah McDuffie has played better football than Quay Walker. And it doesn't really matter what statistic, what category you look at. It just seems to be across the board. Now, I'll explain what I mean there. Let's talk about performance here with Quay Walker, okay? And these are the PFF grades. So you see Quay Walker this year, a 48.5 is the PFF grade. Now, again, there's some people that are going to hate that grade and hate PFF for it. There's others that are going to pretend like this is the gospel. I'm in the middle. I think it's a valuable tool. And I will say this, that when you look at his ranking here, he's 140th in overall defensive PFF grade. And then you hear the report earlier this year that the Packers made an offer to him. Quay didn't accept that offer, which tells me Quay and his camp think that's far too less of an offer. Seems like the Packers agree more with the PFF grade than obviously Quay Walker's camp does. And not that Quay would just bow down and go, oh, well, PFF's got me graded low. I guess I shouldn't take my money, right? So again, 140th, that looks bad. It's not everything though. So let's come through some of the other statistics. All right. So let's look at his career PFF grades first of all, and then we'll get into some of the stats. Starting in 2022, a 52 PFF grade. Then in 2023, he jumped to a 60. When you get in that 60 range, okay, maybe we got something here, right? Takes a step back in 2024 at a 57.4. And then this year took an even bigger step back at a 48.5. That is if you truly agree with PFF's grading system and trust the fact that that's kind of going on behind the scenes and they're not showing us which snaps are being graded a certain grade. Right now, let's comp that. Again, 140th in terms of PFF overall defensive grade amongst linebackers, guys. That's stack backers. Now, there are some edge defenders grouped in here too, with the way that sometimes some of these stats do. I know with some of the edge defenders are grouped in with the NFL Pro data I'm going to share with you guys. But PFF, I think they're pretty good about these are all stack backers. So that means there are 139 other stack backers that are graded higher than Quay Walker. Not a good look, right? So let's talk about stops. Again, what's a stop? According to NFL Pro, a stop is when a player makes a tackle on a play and it results in a negative play for the offense. It doesn't necessarily mean negative yards. It means a negative EPA, if that makes sense. Okay, so Quay Walker was tied for 28th in that stat with 54 stops. Okay, now we always refer to them as run stops, but you need to always mention too that there are some pass plays where a ball is passed underneath on a slant and the guy makes a tackle and it's only a 2-yard gain. They make a good play there. That could be considered a stop as well, right? But the majority of these are in the running game, especially when it comes to defensive linemen. However, with linebackers and secondary, the closer you get, the further you get back in the secondary corner and safety, it's more about the stops and probably making a tackle on a pass play, right? But nonetheless, Quay Walker amongst linebackers, and again, there are some edge defenders grouped in there as well. He was tied for 28th. That's not a bad stat, right? I mean, when you look up and go, okay, how much money would you be willing to pay Quay Walker? And you see, okay, well, he's 28th and stops. That's considered a number one caliber stack backer on a team in terms of stops, right? I think we would all agree, especially knowing that NFL Pro has some edge defenders in there that we can't filter out. So that checks out and you go, okay, that's way different than that PFF grade, right? That's got him 140th. All right, let's move along. Passer rating when targeted. Passer rating when targeted. Quay grades out with a 105.6 passer rating when targeted. That's 86th amongst stack backers. Again, some edge defenders in there as well, but the most part, stack backers. So that would suggest he's not even a number 2 caliber stack backer in your nickel defense, right? I agree with this. This year he has struggled in the passing game. I feel like he struggled in some of the run fits as well, but you can't ignore the fact that he's tied for 28th in stops, right? He's done well there. Now you can go to stop rate and take it a little bit deeper and he'll probably sink a little bit. But again, trying to give Quay the benefit of the doubt here. So far you've got 140th amongst stack backers in PFF grade. You've got 28th in stops, and now you've got 86th in passer rating when targeted. Okay. So where does that put him? If you took all three of those and said, okay, they're equally important, not saying that they are, but just theoretically speaking here, what would that average out to? Would that put him somewhere in the, gosh, I don't know, just quick math. What would it be? Somewhere around the 90s? I didn't come up with the average there. I know what it doesn't come up to. It doesn't come up to a top 32 stack backer, right? And again, what's Quay wanting in terms of money? What was the offer from the Packers? We don't know that. It could have been $5 million per. Hell, it could have been $15 million per. Doubt it. I kind of feel like Quay probably would have taken that deal, but where's that number sitting at? Let's talk about calculated market value according to Spot Track, okay? Projected market value, calculated market value, they've got it at $9.8 million per. How did they come up with that number? It said comparable players. We've selected the following players based on their age, contract status, and statistical production to compare Quay Walker to. Listen to these names and tell me if you'd be willing to pay them $10 million per. Logan Wilson, Zaven Collins, Robert Spillane, Dump Truck Spillane there, and Yetur Gross Matos. I hope I'm saying that right. Probably butchered the hell out of that name. Those comps, it's talking about in terms of statistics and availability and everything in between. 3 years, $25.2 million, average salary of $9 million. Each of those age when signed were 26.8. 26.8 was the age when signed. Okay, so again, that averages out to a flat $9 million. Now, base calculated value. After adjusting the above contracts as if signed at Quay's current age of 25, a linear regression is performed, providing us with the following initial value. 5 years, $49.5 million, or an average annual salary of $9.9 million. Now, statistical comparisons, I'm not going to read them all off for time's sake here, but you guys can see it. And obviously in the Patreon group, you can see it. You can also go check this out on Spot Track. Awesome website. Love using them just to reference contractual things. But essentially what it comes down to is Quay Walker percentage change for each of these categories. Okay, game played percentage, he loses 10.8%. Snaps percentage, he loses 0.93%. Tackles per game, he's up 36%. So that's a huge jump. That's what he does well, right? He always tallies up a ton of tackles. The problem is, why don't you have more stops if you got that many tackles? You're not attacking aggressive enough. You're maybe not reading the run as quick enough. You're not reading the screen as quick enough, right? But again, 36.2, that's a positive. Sacks per game, 11.7 increase, okay? Stops per game, 24.1. Catch rate per year, minus 6.31. And then quarterback hurries per game is a minus 27.27. All right. The rating, minus 18.4, which we talked about that. So the median prime percentage change is negative 3.62%. Average prime percent change is a positive 1%. The calculated market value, according to Spot Track, at the end of the day is 3 years, $29.3 million, or an average annual value of $9.7 million. Keep in mind, it doesn't mention anything about guarantees. You could typically lower that average salary number down, average annual value down, if you give more guaranteed money, but you're on the hook for that money. Therefore, they're probably going to be on your roster longer. You can inflate that number too and go, okay, we're going to give them $12 million per, but it's way less guaranteed. That seems to be the recent way that the Packers have tried to do business, right? You've seen it with Nate Hobbs. You've seen it with Banks, our left guard, right? Aaron Banks. Why do they do it that way? Higher average annual value, but you can get out of the contract quicker with less guaranteed money. As we said, both of those contracts are really just 1 year deals. Nate Hobbs is more of a 2 year deal. Aaron Banks is really a 1 year deal with the club option of 3 years on the backside, right? Because of the way the guaranteed money is structured. So again, just a quick little recap. Quay Walker 2025 linebacker rankings. He's 140th in PFF grade, 28th in stops, and 86th in passer rating when targeted. Projected market value comes to $29.3 million, or 9.7 million average annual value. So that's the full breakdown of the Quay Walker situation here. Okay. Again, going back to that tweet, want to give him a shout out one more time, and I reached out to him. Hopefully he reaches back. Just let him know, hey, we're going to highlight you on the show and try to get him some more followers as well at Packers Notes. Okay. And again, Pete Doherty of, I think, the Green Bay Press Gazette, I believe it is. I hope I'm getting that right. It may be another news outlet. Reports the Packers are unlikely to extend middle linebacker Quay Walker. My guess is it kind of feels like his play's gotten worse after they offered him the contract and his value has gone down in their eyes. They may have even pulled the offer. I'm waiting to hear that here in the future in terms of how that goes. But I'm curious to know how everybody else feels in the comments. If you're watching this video back later, make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified. But let us know in the comments, how do you feel about Quay Walker? Do you want him back at that number? Let's just call it 10 million flat. Would you be willing to pay him that? Or do you feel like it's a little inflated? In my opinion, with what we've seen, I would rather stay in the area of maybe 7 million. If he takes it, great. If not, it's time to move on with Tyron Hopper. You got Isaiah McDuffie another year. And who knows, maybe Colin Oliver ends up working with the stackbackers eventually. I don't know if he's going to be a true edge or not. That's what Matt said, which makes me think, I wonder if they're sending a smoke screen. But nonetheless, let us know in the comments how you feel. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified in the future. Before we switch gears here and get on to the next topic, I want to hit some of these comments real quick. I think it was Mike in the comments over on our Patreon page. The league shows no interest in how our hearts may feel. I'm grateful for Quay, but I see it this way as well. It's tough business, right? I'm just going to kind of paraphrase there for our boy Mike. It is a tough business in the National Football League. Had a couple of things marked here early. J. Cole says, I'm not surprised. Maybe a great game to watch Hopper, but I think we are looking at linebackers in the draft. I think both those things are true, Jay. I think they want Hopper to be the guy, former third-round pick, right? Will he be? I don't know. Chris Casual Win says Hopper time. Based off what we've seen, I don't mean this to be disrespectful to Quay, and it's a very, very small sample size with Hopper. I think Hopper can do what Quay's done up to this point. That's just my personal opinion. And again, I would love to have Quay back for the right price. But with that being said, let's move along here to the next topic. And this is kind of an interesting one too. As we said on the front side here, Ed Policy, the Packers president, actually put out a newsletter, whatever you want to call it there, where they kind of, I don't know, he answers 5 questions. I know that our boy used to do it all the time there. Mark Murphy used to do it all the time. And here is what Ed Policy had to say about the state of the Packers and really the NFL in the 25-26 season, right? Quote, and this is straight from the article. You guys can go check the article out over on Packers.com. Adversity is the norm in the National Football League. Let me write this down real quick. I apologize. Adversity is the norm in the National Football League, and I'm extremely proud of how our team has handled many challenges. Last season, we struggled within our division, and this year we improved 4-1. We've persevered through a litany of injuries and a very challenging schedule and placed ourselves in a position to compete for our ultimate goal, a Super Bowl championship. Now, why am I bringing this up? As we've said here this year, Matt LaFleur has kind of been on the – I don't want to say he's been on the hot seat, but there's a portion of the fan base that seem to think that he should be on the hot seat, right? You guys know I am like so anti that opinion. It's not even funny, but we like to give people a platform, an area where they can voice their opinion in the comments. You guys let us know how you feel about this situation. If you were to take that quote, and he's not specifically speaking about Matt LaFleur, but just reading that quote, do you think that Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat, or do you think this sounds like, no, he's good to go? They're probably going to look to put together a contract extension, or do you think they let him go into this year, the final year of his deal, him and Goody both, and now you got to worry about coaches leaving this offseason if they get a similar offer somewhere, because they're going, man, my coaches, they haven't extended him yet, right? There's a complacency that comes with that as well, but also you get other coaches get a little bit nervous, like, hey, this guy's offering me a better deal. They got a better team. They're in a better situation. I'm going to take that because they're refusing to extend the guy who employed me here. There's a little bit of that comes into play as well in terms of business. But again, adversity is the norm in the National Football League, and I'm extremely proud of our team and how they handle many challenges. I agree with that take. I completely agree with that quote right there. Guys, I said it earlier when the injuries really started to pile up, you're kind of running out of gas. Now, it's different if you go into the season and you're the middle of the road in terms of veterans on your team. Let's say you're 15th, the 15th youngest team in the league. Okay, we got enough veteran presence. Maybe we can navigate through this. When you've got the youngest football roster in the league, and I know there's a portion of the fan base that don't want to hear this, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just giving my opinion. What do we expect? What do we expect? The typical argument is, yeah, but these guys have a lot of experience. They're a young team, but they've got a lot of experience. That's true. What about the guys behind them, right? What about the guys behind them? Because think of it this way. On another roster in the league, if Romeo Dobbs is the fourth best wide receiver and he's waiting in the wings and he's shown you what he can do in the past, you feel a lot better about one or two receivers going down because we got Dobbs kind of coming in, right? Well, in this case, who's gotten the majority of the targets? Because Matthew Golden's been banged up. People don't want to mention that with Matthew Golden getting a lack of targets, and I think Matthew Golden's going to be fine, but I think there's a lot of factors that have come into play, and I think Golden might have an opportunity here in the playoffs to shine, and that would be awesome if he had a breakout in the playoffs, right? But how many times have we seen it with the game on the line? You're throwing the pass to Bo Melton, right? So it's like, at some point, youth is, what's the most important position on defense, in my opinion? It's three tech. Who's our three tech? Devontae White. Devontae White's been hurt for how many weeks now on IR? Okay, who's his backup? Kobe Wooden, late round pick. Warren Brinson, was he a fifth or a sixth round pick this year? Right? Those are both young. Carl Brooks, right? Carl Brooks, well, he's got 3 years of experience. He does, but he was a late round pick as well, right? He wasn't a first or a second round pick. You wasn't expecting him to come in and be a starter, a dominant starter. So you're wondering why the defense is taking a step back. There you go, right? So again, that's the problem with the youth of the roster. And I think that Ed Policy is acknowledging that here, right? That you faced a lot of adversity, right? He also goes on, like I said, that second part of that quote there. Last season we struggled within our division, and this year we improved 4-1. That's a factual statement. And really, the one loss, do we need to recount how many players we went into that game missing, and then how many players went out in that game as well, right? With that loss to the Bears. So, I think there's a decent chance the Vikings beat us tomorrow because we're sitting a lot of starters and trying to get everybody healthy for the playoffs. The Vikings, they don't really have anything to lose, although they're probably looking at the same way, like, if somebody's a little banged up, let's sit them down and get a better draft pick, right? If we lose the game. So there's a decent chance the Packers win this game, even with our backups, the majority of our backups playing. But the reality is, if you lose that game tomorrow, you went 4-2 in the division. That's pretty damn good in the division. A division which, by the way, people were talking about going into the season. The year before, dominant division. This year, kind of down. And then by the end of the year, go, wow, the Bears are one of the better teams in the NFC. So all of a sudden, the division's back up. The Packers are one of the better teams in the NFC. We were the number 2 seed with 3 or 4 weeks to go in the season before all the injuries really piled up. So I think that's an accurate statement there. And again, the portion of the fan base, this is just an excuse and blah, blah, blah. You can continue to live in that fairy tale land. But the reality is, every year when our roster is built, I say on this podcast, and it's just how I fan, I look up and go, damn it, we got the youngest roster again. Some fans get excited about that. Me, I can't get excited about that because I know the odds are stacked against you to win a Super Bowl that year. So with that being said, I hope we add a couple of key veterans this year and maybe put us as the 4th or 5th youngest team in the league, right? So you can kind of get out of that bottom spot there, because it is a young man's sport. Don't get me wrong, but damn, boys, sooner or later, you're going to have to do something different if you want a different result in that regard. You can't just go in every year with the youngest roster and expect to just set the world on fire, right? So he also said we persevered with a litany of injuries. So true. We've talked about that ad nauseum this year, so I completely agree with that. The amount of injuries that Matt LaFleur's had to deal with, that's why when they started calling for his job, I'm like, boys, are we even looking at who we've got on the football field right now? And Matt LaFleur was, stringing together a couple wins here or there and just patching it together. I mean, for God's sakes, you started the season, Tucker Kraft was your leading receiver. He was looking dominant, right? You lose him, bang, he's out. So now you got to go to more of a flex approach with Musgrave, who's more of a receiver than a true balanced tight end. You bring in Josh Wiley, and he kind of becomes a little bit of a focal point in terms of the blocking, the sifting, things like that. There was not a team in the league that felt Josh Wiley was worthy of a starting tight end spot in the league. And here you went and plugged him in. He caught a touchdown, I think, in his first game, and he's making key blocks. We were highlighting it on Chalk Talk all year. I thought Matt LaFleur done a great job given the hand he was dealt, and I think that's why he looks comfortable at the podium. Some people don't like that complacency. I was reading somebody on X the other day. I can't believe. I love how they talk like they're the football guru. That stuff drives me crazy when people pretend like they know more than the top 32 individuals in the entire world at managing a roster or coaching a team. They talk from this authority like Matt LaFleur, this guy. But the guy went on to say in the tweet that he was just could not believe that the Packers are approaching this Week 18 game the way they are. Like it doesn't matter if we win or not. What's more important, being as healthy as you can for the playoffs or winning Week 18 and us looking up again like we did 2 weeks ago and go, boys, we can't compete with the way the roster is right now and how banged up people are. So that's just my opinion. But I agree with what Ed Policy said here. I know he's going to catch a lot of hell for it from the negative portion of the fan base. But man, to me, I think everything he said here was accurate. I really do. I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comments. If you're watching this back later, let me know and let us know. Let's have a conversation. Hop in there and let's talk about it. How do you feel about Ed Policy's comment? Everybody, as long as everybody's respectful, everybody's opinion is welcome here, right? I agree with what he said, and I am excited about the future. And who knows, maybe we can catch lightning in a bottle here. This is how it was in 2010. I'd kind of wrote them off as a fan in 2010, like, boys, this is going to be an uphill battle. And then they catch fire going into the playoffs, and bang, you're off and running, right? So let us know in the comments what you think, and make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon. Let's see when we go live. All right. Last thing I want to hit is the injury report. A little bit of breaking news, I guess you could say, is the injury report dropped yesterday. I think it was Tom Silverstein. I seen it come across my Twitter feed here. Packers injury report versus the Vikings. Malik Willis is questionable, but let's talk about the players that are officially listed as out versus the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, and these players are at the top of the list here, Donovan Jennings, in no particular order, just on the top of the injury list. Donovan Jennings with the throat injury. Again, he wasn't on the injury report Wednesday, did not participate Thursday, did not participate Friday, officially listed as out. Nick Nyman, they're trying to get him back, linebacker, pectoral injury, limited. He's officially listed as out in this game as well, although I don't think he's actually been activated yet. He's designated to return from injured reserve there. Also listed as out, John Williams, guard that had the back surgery. He still hasn't been activated yet. That 21-day window has been open. He's limited all week long. Sounds like he's getting closer, but he was listed out as well. I think that was our 7th-round pick. More importantly, Savion Williams with the foot/illness, limited, did not participate. Sound like he was really sick. So thoughts and prayers go up to Savion that he gets over that as quick as possible. He's listed officially as out. Now, you got 2 players that are listed. Actually, let's start with doubtful. Doubtful is Dontavion Wicks. He's in concussion protocol, did not participate all week. He's listed as doubtful. That tells me whether he cleared or not, they're holding him out, and that's one of those players they're going to keep out of the roster or off the field in Week 18 to kind of get him ready for the playoffs as well. That way you don't have to see Bo Melton out there trying to save the game in the fourth quarter. If you got imagine Wicks getting those opportunities as opposed to Melton. I'm not trying to dog Melton. Melton's made some plays this year, man. I want to say he's got at least 1 touchdown. He may have 2 now. Made a couple plays the other night, but man, with the game on the line, 4th down or 3rd down, and you got to get a conversion here late in the game. I don't want the ball going to Bo. I just don't. I think he's a valuable asset. He's good on special teams. He can play corner and wide receiver. He practiced more at corner this week, which tells me he may get some snaps there and kind of get them geared up a little bit for the playoffs, although you did add Trayvon Diggs. I'm really excited to see what Trayvon Diggs does because Cowboys fans think he's horrible. He's former All-Pro. I'm kind of in the middle, like, okay, he's probably going to be an above-average player, but who knows, man? He may catch fire in a new place as well. But nonetheless, again, listed as doubtful there is Dontavion Wicks. Also listed as questionable. You got 2 players, Zach Tom with the back/knee, limited all week. He's listed as questionable. I would hold him out. I have no worries about Zach Tom being ready to go for the playoffs, even though he hasn't played in a few weeks. I think he'll be just fine. He's a good enough football player that he can step right in and play very good football, if not great football, if not great elite football. Zach Tom is a dog. Make sure you get him as healthy as you can for the wild card round. And then Malik Willis with the right shoulder/hamstring, limited all week, listed as questionable. I think the writing's on the wall there. Clayton Tune has already been announced as a starter. I don't think they'll have Malik Willis waiting in the wings as the backup. It's going to be Clayton Tune as the starter, Desmond Ridder as the backup. You guys know we did a deep dive on him earlier this week when he was signed by the Packers. Now, positive news, illness, limited, full participation was Jaden Reed, so he should be good to go. If you want to put him out there, that's one of the healthy players. You feel good like, okay, he's not banged up. We can put him out there. I'm okay with that. I don't think you should just sit all the starters. Nobody's saying you treat it completely like a preseason game. I've said all week, it feels like a preseason game because the injuries you're trying to get right before the playoffs, right? And then, of course, a couple other players that full participation. Jordan Love, we said earlier this week, he cleared concussion protocol, got the left shoulder injury as well. He's good to go. He is not going to play. You're going to hold him out, make sure that he stays healthy for the wild card round. Josh Jacobs with the knee/ankle, limited full participation, no game status. Hold him out. That's one healthy player I would hold out because he has battled with that knee. You get kind of an extra bye there and let that thing heal up if there is still any swelling. Adrian Cooper with the shoulder injury, limited full participation. He's doesn't have a game status. I would like to see them hold him out as well, just because I would like to get a really good look at Tyron Hopper and Isaiah McDuffie for the playoffs. And I say this because probably going to catch some heat here. I feel like you should start Isaiah McDuffie over Quay Walker in the nickel. Going back and watching the tape and looking at the games where Quay missed and Isaiah stepped in, I felt like the defense stabilized a little bit. And that may be totally different when you get to playoff football. Quay may be the better football player. I don't know. But just the way I see it right now, it's like I'd rather give Isaiah McDuffie a shot and then have Quay come in off the bench, as the third linebacker. I just want to see what that looks like. And again, I know I'm going to catch a lot of hell for that, but that passer rating when targeted is the roughest thing. The PFF is bad enough, the 140. I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't know if I fully trust PFF. I'm kind of in the middle of the road there. I love talking about, I love including it in our breakdowns because it's good to get an extra set of eyes or multiple sets of eyes, even though we don't know who they are and what their credentials are. We've heard they're Uber drivers and this and that are grading the tape. That scares the hell out of me. But when you look at the combination of the PFF grade and the passer rating when targeted, the stops looks good, right? With him grading out whatever he was, tied for 28th or whatever it was. But on top of that, there was a couple times in that game last week where it was just like, we keep saying Quay's strength is his physical ability, right? His elite athleticism. And then there was one time in particular that we watched Snoop Huntley scramble to the left. Quay squared up. Quay's got his eyes on him the whole time. And Quay couldn't run him down to the sideline before he got the first down. It's like, okay, that's supposed to be one of his superpowers, right? Is his elite athleticism. And you don't see it making a difference on the football field because the processing isn't there, So that's how I would feel there. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Fire that into the chat too. I want to know how y'all feel about Quay versus McDuffie. Would you rather have Quay out there than McDuffie? And this might be the last hoorah for Quay. Maybe a little extra motivation because it sounds like they may part ways if he gets a better offer in free agency, right? There's always a chance that he hits free agency and he doesn't get the offer he wants, and the Packers are the best offer, or it's close enough that he doesn't have to pack up and move from Green Bay, right? So he could be back, just probably not at the number that his camp wants, right? So, again, Adrian Cooper, I would hold him out. Aaron Banks, limited all week. If he's good to go and there's officially no game status, I would put him out there. He needs all the reps he can get, because that's just been some bad tape to watch this year too. So I hate to be negative there, but that's truly how I feel, and I feel like you guys deserve my honest opinion, whether it's valuable or not. All right, next, the Vikings injury report. They have 4 players listed as out, and let's start with Gavin Bartholomew, tight end. He's been not activated, but he's returned to practice from injured reserve or the PUP list. He's officially listed as out. TJ Hawkinson, the tight end with the shoulder injury, did not participate all week. He's officially out, so they're without their number 1 tight end. Aaron Jones with the hip injury did not participate all week. He's officially out. I don't know if you see Aaron Jones as their true number 1 running back or you see Jordan Mason as that. I feel like Jordan Mason is better than Aaron Jones at this point in Aaron Jones's career. And you guys know I love Jonesy, but that's just kind of how I see that there. But nonetheless, Aaron Jones being out of the game, that doesn't make the Vikings better this week. That definitely makes them worse. He's a leader. He can make plays. He's still a good football player. Let's see. The other one out, Miles Price, wide receiver with the ankle injury. He's officially is out. Now, questionable, you've got Dwight McLaughlin, cornerback with the hip injury. Was not listed Wednesday and Thursday. He must have tweaked it on Thursday, and then Friday popped up as a limited. He's questionable. That means a 50-50 shot there. J.J. McCarthy, full participation. Sounds like with that right hand injury, he's going to be good to go. Whether he start, actually, now they announced he was not going to start, right? You guys let me know in the chat real quick. Didn't I read somewhere that J.J. McCarthy was not starting in this game? Is that what you guys heard as well? I think that was the final say there that they had. But nonetheless, he is listed on the injury report but with no game status there, which you think they would say out. I want to say I heard rumors that he wasn't going to play. I could be wrong there. So a couple other people on the injury report, but no game status. Blake Cashman, linebacker, Javon Hargrave, defensive lineman, he's good to go. Jonathan Allen, defensive lineman, he's good to go. It sounds like limited on Friday, but that was just veteran rest there. Okay, so Donovan Schilling, thank you so much, buddy. He is starting. Okay, cool. There's been so many quarterbacks that have been, listed as out and in and out and in. Hell, for us, just our roster, right? It's like, holy cow, every other day there's a new quarterback in Green Bay, and we're talking about them potentially starting. So he is definitely starting, he being JJ McCarthy. How cool would it be to go out this season resting the players you need to rest for the playoffs, going up against J.J. McCarthy, the guy they handpicked in Minnesota? And I'm hearing rumors now that they are open to signing a veteran quarterback this offseason, almost like kind of putting McCarthy on notice, like, hey, you're really going to have to earn that spot this year. But how cool would it be, even with a banged-up roster, to go into Minnesota in the season on a high note with a win, playing a bunch of backups and against J.J. McCarthy, just to kind of smack the Vikings fans down one last time? I think that would be absolutely awesome. So with that being said, that is the current injury report there for the Minnesota Vikings. So that's it, guys. That's the final injury report. Packers versus Vikings. Just a little preview there as to some of the players that are going to be in and being out. We'll see how everything shakes out on game day and kind of go in there looking at how that's all going to kind of unfold. J. Cole says, watch out for Rodgers to Minnesota. I'm telling y'all, Jay, before last year, I probably would have agreed with you. I felt like that was a good fit for him. But Aaron's been kind of vocal about that, right? That now he had no plans of going to Minnesota. I honestly think that Aaron learned from Brett's mistake and knows how bad that hurt Brett's standing with the Packer fan base for some time. Now everything kind of seems to be put behind us. I think Aaron doesn't want to go that route. I really do. He loves rooting against the NFC North foes. Now, anything can change. Money can change your mind, right? And that's scary to think about A-Rod, in my opinion, with Justin Jefferson and that receiving core, TJ Hawkinson, and so on and so forth, right? I personally don't think Rodgers is going to go to Minnesota, but maybe that's wishful thinking, Jay. I hope you're wrong, sir. I hope you're wrong, right? Holmes says, Clay, I think that's a stretch in my opinion. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know what the stretch was there, Holmes, if it was, what Aaron kind of said about not going to play for Minnesota this past season, 2025, or if it's a stretch of what Jay was saying there. But Packer Doug says, Aaron appreciates his legacy more than the hit from Kill. All right, there you go. So Brett catches some strays in here. J. Cole does specify here before they get the pitchforks out on him. I hope I'm wrong too. All right, got it, man. Got it. So, and then Deadfish does confirm Vikings set to start McCarthy in Week 18. Listen, it's Packer football. Even though it's got a preseason feel, it's going to be fun to break everything down tomorrow. We will be going live like we always do, about an hour and 20 minutes before kickoff. We will get you guys the latest on actives, inactives, all that stuff. We'll show you live shots from Minnesota there and take you right up to kickoff. And then immediately following the game, we'll be doing the PTA post-game show, breaking down all the action, going through the box score, talking about the plays that matter, the players that matter. And we'll also, on the end of that show, we'll probably give you an updated look on the playoffs. Okay, who exactly are we going to be playing or most likely going to be playing? There'll probably be other games that kind of unfold and let us know that information there as we get through the rest of the games. Obviously, I imagine when the 4 o'clock window games are over, I don't even know who's playing in the 4 o'clock window games. I believe by the 4 o'clock games, the only game that'll be left on Sunday night will be Packers-Ravens, which should be a dandy, by the way. Aaron Rodgers in basically a divisional championship game is what that's going to be. That's going to be a lot of fun. But obviously, by the time the 4 o'clock window games finish up, we should know who we're playing, right, in the wild card round. So it's either going to be the Bears or the Eagles. I'm really hoping it's the Bears, man. It'd be fun to go into Chicago and just completely end their season so those fans can shut up, right? So with that being said, let us know in the comments, how do you feel about this Packers-Vikings matchup and more specifically the injury report? If there's anything I missed, you guys know the drill. We're kind of a collective effort here at PTA. The chat, the co-hosts, me, we're all combing through the information as Packer fans, not media members, not experts. Y'all let us know in the comments if there's anything we missed or anything you disagree with. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click on the bell icon so you're notified every time we do go live in the future. All right, that's it. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the PTA pregame show. Unless some other kind of news breaks today, I'll go live for that. We'll probably just wrap it up there, and we'll see y'all for the pregame show. Make sure you hit like on the way out. Hey, you too, Paige and Dr. Crutch. Have a great Saturday. Let's go watch a little football here. We got the Buccaneers and the Panthers in a divisional championship game. I know it's not been a strong division this year, but that's coming up here in the 4:00 window. And then we got another game tonight as well. So we get us a little playoff football, essentially. So, yeah, everybody have a wonderful day. Make sure you hit that like button for me. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
Here we go. We're out.
Bye, guys.